Hi everyone, very good evening and welcome back to Crack Grade B. So we were discussing the FTP, latest FTP, and we have already completed till the ease of doing business page, right? We are going to move forward and we are going to talk about much more of the changes that the government has introduced in today's lecture. So in my last lecture, I have discussed with you the EPCG scheme, right? Under EPCG scheme, government says that you can import the capital goods. Fine. We are going to remit the duty. We are not going to charge you the duties, but what you have to do is you have to use that particular machinery or capital good for the purpose of exports. Understood? So that's what we have learned under EPCG scheme, and then there was another scheme called as advance authorization. Under advance authorization, government says that we are going to allow you import duty free inputs. Fine, you do not have to pay any kind of import duty when you are importing the inputs, but the condition is that these inputs should be incorporated in the goods that you are going to export. So to say, simplifying it, government says that we are going to allow you the import of inputs if these inputs you are going to use it in the exports, right? Number one thing. Then government says that whatever duty you are going to save, you have to earn us foreign exchange, and that foreign exchange should be 6 times of the duty that you have saved. That means 6 times means 600%, right? We do not have to go into that much detail, we just have to understand that yes, such kind of provisions exist. So this is called as export obligation, right? What it is called as export obligation. You have to do, if you are importing duty free inputs, then you have to do the exports in the next 6 years, and you have to earn the government 6 times of the import duty that you have saved. Government wants foreign currency, and you have to earn that foreign currency if you want any kind of support from the government, right? So this is called as export obligation period. Government said that we are giving you 6 years, now please do that for us. Understood? Now it could also have happened that 6 years might not be enough and someone wants the extension, correct? Someone says that I am not able to do the requisite exports within a period of 6 years, and dear government, can you increase this period for me? So government says, okay, fine, it is going to depend on the time period, right, and certain other conditions. This was the earlier fees, and now see the new fees. Don't you think it is a high level of ease of doing business approach that the government is giving us? Earlier government was demanding that if you want to extend your export obligation period, what is this EOP? Export obligation period. That's what I said, that within 6 years you have to do the export, correct, and you have to earn foreign exchange. If you want to extend by the period of 6 months or for more than the 6 months, in those particular cases the earlier fees were 3 lakhs, 20 lakhs. First you want to do the extension, this is the first extension and this is the second extension. So these were the fees, and now these fees are fixed at 10,000 and 20,000, correct? So this is tell me whether you have understood this point or not. I know that this might be a little bit technical, but even if you do not understand it here itself, just wait for it. We are going to discuss the full FTP as well. These are just the highlights. So just remember that yes, there is a fee reduction that government has done. Now next is the recognition to exporters. See, this is very simple. This recognition, first question that should come into your mind whenever you are reading this, the first question that should become is that who gives such star ratings? 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, like hotels have stars based on the services that they give. Similarly, these are exporters are also given the stars, and who gives these stars? So DGFT, Directorate General of Foreign Trade, they give these particular star ratings: 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star. Now on what basis these particular star ratings are dependent on? They are dependent on the performance. What is the export that you have done? If you have done 3 million US dollar, 15 million US dollar, 50, 200, 800 million US dollars, then these are the ratings that have been provided. Earlier, see, the existing performance threshold were like this. These were quite high. You see, $2,000 million is a quite high figure, but now they have been reduced. Now the next question that should come into your mind is that what is the sense of these particular star ratings? So there are so many benefits that these export houses get. One such like benefit is that they can establish export warehouses, right? They get so many what you can say feasibilities in the compliance processes, right? They have to spend lesser time in the compliance related processes. Why? Because they are earning such a huge foreign exchange for the government, and government wants to make the things easier for them, right? What are the benefits we are going to discuss? See, there are two categories under this. One is AEO. This is not a category under this, this is a separate thing. AEO, and then there are star rated exporters. Fine. AEO is authorized economic operators, right? These particular operators and these star rated exporters, they get so many export related benefits. This one is internationally recognized. So all such export houses or exporters who follow international practices, right? They follow all the supply chain related sensitivities. They do not, they follow all the compliances and rules and regulations, not just Indian, but also the international or the, what you can say, overseas rules and regulations related to the goods. So these particular individuals, they are given such kind of status. When we'll be discussing the complete FTP, at that particular time we are going to discuss it. Okay, the difference between AEO and the star rated export houses. But as of now, in the highlight section, you just have to remember that yes, certain export benefits are given to them. What are these? These are compliance related, setting up of warehouse related, correct, as well as the processing of the export or the import. In relation to that, also timing related benefits also given to them. Fine. So export performance threshold has been reduced so that many exporters will be motivated in order to get these particular star ratings. Fine. Next is internationalization of trade in rupees. See, as a government, we do want that just like US dollar is having so much of presence in the international arena, although we will take some time to reach over there, but definitely we will be recognized as one of the strong currencies. And this thing starts with your trade, your currency. So what we want under this is that international trade settlements in INR allowed and changes introduced in FTP for grant of export benefits in INR as per the RBI. This process has been initiated. Why this process has been initiated? Because we want to give the benefits to the exporters in INR only. See, what happens right now is, in order to make the process hassle free, all kinds of settlements etc., they are taken into the US dollar basis. But going forward, what we also want is that INR should also be included in this particular process. Fine. Now this was just a little bit of information. Next information is related to your merchanting trade reform. I'll tell you what it is. Fine. So just watch me very carefully. Here we are talking about, there is an intermediary. He is in India, right? He knows a person, suppose he knows a person in Vietnam. This person in Vietnam, he has some electronic items and he is ready to sell. Fine, he is ready to sell. Now, we have a customer in Tanzania. This person wants to buy these kinds of electronic items. Now this person who is sitting in India, what role he is going to play? He is going to play the role of intermediary. What he is going to do? He is going to buy from the Vietnamese person and then he is going to sell to Tanzania, the buyer who is sitting in Tanzania. In this meanwhile, the goods, the cargo, it is never going to touch the shores of India. The cargo is not going to come to India, fine. It is will be shipped from Vietnam to Tanzania and it is not going to touch the shores of India. This is called as the merchanting trade, right? This person is playing as intermediary. He is going to receive payment from here, right? No, sorry, he is going to receive the payment from here and he is going to pay that person, and whatever the amount which is left, you can consider is that is his commission. So our government wants to increase it, fine. Our government wants to establish India as a hub for doing such kind of things, because at the end of the day this is earning us the foreign exchange, right? So this is called as the merchanting trade related reforms. There have been provisions for the merchanting trade. They have been introduced under the FTP to boost merchanting trade activities from India where the goods does not touch, they do not touch the Indian shores. This was only this much information was important over here. Now moving on to the export promotion initiatives. Now, what are these export promotion initiatives? See very carefully. So, 4 new towns of export excellence will be declared. Already 39 towns of export excellence are already there. Now, we have declared these towns and we have identified these product categories. Have you heard about the scheme ODOP? Government is already running such kind of schemes. ODOP, can someone just give me the full form of that? If you are aware of this particular scheme, ODOP is one district, one product. Fine. Under this, Government of India is thinking that yes, every district has one unique product which is very popular in that district. So what we want to do is that all the efforts in that district should be, yes, good Akash. So all the products in that particular district should be, or all the manufacturers in that particular districts should focus on one such product so that we can specialize in it. And once we are specialized in that, then the export value of that particular product also increases. Obviously, we have a huge domestic market, correct? So it is anyways going to help the economy, but at the end of the day, we can have a good export potential as well in these particular districts. So with that particular intention, towns of export excellence: Faridabad for apparels, Muradabad for handicrafts, Mirzapur for carpet and dari, and Varanasi from handloom for handloom and handicrafts, right? So all these towns, one product has been identified and now they have been asked to excel in that. Now what are the benefits? Obviously brand credibility will increase, we will be recognized internationally. Next, market access initiative scheme, financial assistance will be given for the marketing, fairs and exhibitions, etc, etc, such kind of all facilities will be provided. So you see, whenever, even in our student life, when we focus on something very much, we do gain success, right? So that kind of focus is also being provided over here. One more thing that is important is this. We heard about EPCG scheme when in my first lecture of FTP. What was EPCG scheme? Government is saying that please import capital goods. That means government is saying please import machineries to do the exports, and we are going to waive off the duties that you need to pay on such import of capital goods, right? So that is your EPCG scheme. Now what government is trying to do is that a clusters will be made. Suppose in these districts also clusters will be made, and one cluster means a group of area where the manufacturers are there, they can utilize the same facility of capital goods. That means one machinery is being utilized by so many manufacturers. Correct? In some cases of machinery this can be possible, and I'm not just saying that there will be just one machinery, I'm just giving you an info that there will be number of machineries and they are set up as a common facility. Anyone can come and anyone can use them, so it is not going to put a financial strain on individual person, and a such common facility can be introduced. So if you have ever heard about these parks, right, food parks are being established, technology parks are established, software parks are established. So in these kind of parks, what government actually does is they provide the common infrastructure. Your if I talk about physical infrastructure is there, electronic related infrastructure is there, connectivity is there, you just have to plug and play, fine. So these kinds of things have been facilitated for this also. Now moving on to the next step, that is steps to boost manufacturing. So just now we were talking about parks, right? One such park related scheme has been initiated for our textile sector also. We are, if we want, we can become a leader in textiles, right? Our neighbor Bangladesh, they are doing so good in the textiles. They are focusing all of their energy in it. So we have also come up with the scheme called as the PM Mitra. So PM Mitra scheme, all those people who are establishing their businesses under the such kind of parks, they will be able to claim the benefits under the CSP, that is Common Service Provider Scheme of Export Promotion Capital Goods. Fine. Have already understood what it is. Next is dairy sector will be exempted from maintaining the average export obligation, so that we can support the dairy sector's upgradation in the technology. We have already talked about what is export obligation. If you are taking the remission of duty, if you are not paying duty on your inputs or your capital goods, then you are obliged to fulfill export obligation. That means, for example, within 6 years you have to achieve an export turnover of 600% of the duty that was waived off. जितना ड्यूटी माफ किया गया था उसका एटलीस्ट 6 टाइम्स आपको फॉरेन करेंसी लाकर देना है गवर्नमेंट को. दिस इज व्हाट गवर्नमेंट सेज, बट वी आर exempting the dairy sector. Why? Because we want the dairy sector to develop. If we compare our dairy sector with the dairy sector of Australia and New Zealand, I do not know how many of you are aware about it, but India was supposed to enter in an FTA that was called as the RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Action Plan, something like that was there. RCEP was its short form, and this was the association of your ASEAN countries as well as Australia, New Zealand, China, Korea, right? Such kind of countries were there. But India walked out of it. Why? Because the dairy sector of our India had concerns in order to enter that particular free trade agreement, that is RCEP. So because Australia, if we see Australia's and New Zealand's dairy sector, they are very strong. But comparatively, our Indian dairy sector is still quite primitive. The technology has not been so much into dairy sector. So that is why the exemption has been provided. Now the next focus that the government is having on to is electric vehicles of all types, vertical farming equipment, wastewater treatment, rainwater harvesting, as well as the green hydrogen. So they have been included in the green technology products, and they will now be eligible for the reduced export obligation requirement under the EPCG scheme. Fine. So the same kind of thing, no need to explain it. Government wants that they should import more and more capital goods. I said capital goods that are required to make further products. Government is not saying that please import battery, your e-rickshaws, etc. from outside. No, government is saying import the technology. We are going to waive off your duties. Use that technology to manufacture the products. And we are going to give again you the benefit of reduced export obligation. Okay, the next is special advance authorization scheme is also extended for apparel and clothing sector. Next is benefits of self-ratification scheme for fixation of input-output norms extended to 2-star and above status holders in addition to authorized economic operators at present. Who are authorized economic operators? These are such exporters who are following the international rules and regulations related to supply chain maintenance. All the exports that they do, they are properly complying with the Indian laws as well as the foreign laws, right? And the internal control of these export houses is top notch, fine. So we have given this particular name to them. Now after that, they had the benefit of fixation of input output norms, self ratifying this. Now what is this input output norms? I'm just going to tell you very briefly. Understand what I did tell you under advance authorization, that government is saying please import inputs, raw materials and make output. Fine. Now there is some input output norms. Input output norms means how much input is required to produce 1 unit of output. This is called as input output norms. If someone says that yes, you have to make what example should I take? So let's take a food based example. So suppose someone says that you have to make chapatis for 2 people and those 2 people are eating 4 chapatis each. Fine. So now the output is 4 chapatis and you have to take the input of how much of flour, right? How much of water, how much of flour. This is your input and that is your output. So the fixation of ratio between these is called as input output ratio. Normally, this is set by the norms committee, but these particular exporters, they have the benefit of ratifying it by themselves. Okay, so this is the benefit. Don't worry, even if you do not get the detailed analysis of this, whenever we are going to discuss the FTP, we will be discussing this. Now, e-commerce exports. There is just one important thing under here, and let me tell you that particular thing. E-commerce exports means nowadays you must have seen that there are people who are doing the online business. Fine, they are giving us the product delivered at our doorstep, but these people did just not they obviously they do the delivery to us in India, but they are also allowed to ship uh, in foreign countries, right? Externally. Sometimes you must have seen that the pages write in them that we are shipping worldwide, etc., etc. Fine. So this is called as the e-commerce, where all the transactions, all the sale and purchase related transaction is happening online. So what we are doing under this, value limit for exports through courier service is increased up to 10 lakh rupees per consignment. Government is saying that yes, if you are doing e-commerce, you are using the courier service to export your parcel to an outside country. Suppose an Indian retailer, they have got an online order from a person in Bangladesh. Fine, so that will be called as a e-commerce, and the limit has now been extended to up to 10 lakhs per consignment if you are using the courier service. Special outreach and training activities will also be done for your small e-commerce persons. Apart from that, this is also important. Estimates suggest that the e-commerce exports, they are expected to grow 200 to 300 billion dollars by 2030. So that is why we are having the designated zones with warehousing facilities designated to help e-commerce aggregators for easy stocking, customs, etc. We are going to manufacture export hubs for the e-commerce, dedicated for e-commerce. Because see, if you want any sector to develop, you have to provide infrastructure. So government is saying yes, we want to develop such kind of e-commerce also, although they are small in value, but we want foreign currencies, right? So government is saying don't you worry, e-commerce providers, we are going to develop the export hubs that are dedicated for you only, and you are going to receive the benefits into them. So next thing is facilitating the exports from districts. This is the similar kind of thing that we have already studied, right? So export hubs in districts, they will be created. This is called as the districts as export hubs. We are going to identify the products and services which are special in each district of the country. After that, institutional mechanisms will be created. District export action plans will be prepared, correct? Export promotion will be done in the districts. Ongoing whatever schemes of trade that are ongoing currently in India, we are going to converge all of them, and we are going to establish these districts as the export hub. Very simple topic. The detailed things, obviously they are going to be in the FTP, so we have to understand only this much as of now. Fine. Next is this comet policy. This is just a little bit interesting. So, if you guys know, this is not very specific to it, but I'm just anyways sharing an example with you. Uranium, right? Uranium is a radioactive element, and we do not want that the upgraded uranium or processed uranium should be there with the countries like Iran, North Korea, although they have already developed it, but such kind of countries which are having some debilitated standards, their standards are not at all good. We always have the fear that such kind of product, such kind of item can be misused in such countries, right? So for such kind of chemicals, we have some export control agreements called as Wassenaar Agreement, Australia Group, MTCR, that is Missile Technology Control Regime. India is member of all of them, right? So what these particular export control groups say, they say that you have to control the trade in these sensitive dual use items as well as the technology. Such items, such technology which can be used for double purpose. Double purpose means like uranium. Uranium can be used for the power sector. If we want to generate the power, there are nuclear reactor like power plants, right? Nuclear power plants we have, and we can generate the electricity that is being used for the civil purposes. But at the same time, uranium can be used for making bombs. So this is called as dual use, where any particular chemical, it can be used in two ways. One is civilian, one is destructive, right? So these export control groups say that all such kind of elements, technologies, they shall be regulated. Fine. We do not want that these things should lie in the hands of such people who are who might be terrorists, right? Who might be use it for their own personal interest. Correct. So that is what is being said here. Policy for export of dual use item under the special chemicals, organisms, material, equipment, technology consolidated at one place. Why this policy has been made? So this policy says that whenever, one more thing that you should focus, they say you have to control the trade. They never say that you have to completely abolish such trade, right? So Government of India, they have made this particular policy. It was already made, now it has been streamlined, many more provisions has been included. So all the rules and regulations which are related to exports of such sensitive your technology or chemicals, etc., they have been get together at one place. And now anyone, suppose I am exporting a technology which can be used in a dual way, so I have to follow all the instructions that have been provided in such kind of in such policy. Okay, so this was the intention of this. Next is MNST scheme. MNST scheme is, see, suppose you have taken the advance authorization or you have been a beneficiary under EPCG scheme. Fine, but you have not been able to fulfill your export obligations, right? So it means you are a defaultee, correct? You should return the benefit that you have received. Government gave you a waiver of the duty, so you have to refund it, you have to return it, right? And if you have not done such a waiver for a long period of time, suppose you had the export obligation for 6 years, that means you used government's fund, That means the waiver that government has done for 6 years period, and even after that you were not able to fulfill your export obligation. So first of all, government will say, give us our duty back, whatever you have saved. Apart from that, government is going to say, we are going to charge interest as well. You have used our money for 6 years, that is your obligation period, correct? And now you have to give that money along with the interest. So this is called, now under this MNST scheme, government is being little bit soft, right? So what government is says, so all pending default cases of in meeting the export obligations of the authorizations, they can be regularized on payment of the custom duties that were exempted, plus the interest is capped at 100% of these particular duties. If we have exempted 1 crore towards you, 1 crore duty you had to pay and the government exempted it. So government is saying 1 crore we need. Okay, the whatever duty we have exempted plus the interest on it as well. And if interest comes more than 1 crore, so we have capped it up to 1 crore only. Fine. So you have to pay the duty as well as the interest. This is what government says. Okay. But yes, government is going to charge no duty on the additional customs duty and special additional customs duty. Why the government of India imposes the special custom duty? Because some items are like that. Whenever we are importing from any other country, they are cheaper even after imposing the basic custom duty. So we, as per the item, we do impose the additional custom duties onto such items. And finally, we have got a way forward. So the way forward is just sum up of the total policy, but we have to focus. There is a one target that government has given to itself. What such a target is? So government is saying, this one it is here, sector specific targets to achieve the goal of $1 trillion merchandise export and $1 trillion service exports by 2030. That means by 2030, if I combine both merchandise as well as service exports, government want to achieve a figure of $2 trillion, $1 trillion in merchandise and $1 trillion in the services exports, and the rest of the things are similar. So this was it that I wanted to discuss on the FTP related document. These were the highlights. I hope that you must have understood it. If you did, then please do not forget to like this video. And yes, your queries. Fine. So your query regarding NABARD notification, it is going to that will be addressed in any other video. Right now, I do not have such time to explain this to you. And next thing, we will be bringing it out soon. So just wait for the class scheduling. We will be discussing it very soon. Next thing is, yes, related to English speaking. So what you should do, what I have also done is just read the newspaper regularly. So that is going to help a lot. So with that, thank you so much. It is a wrap on this particular session. If you do want to watch the detailed FTP, please tell us, right? Yes, so you were the one. I did not wanted to answer your question because that was not related to the thing that we were discussing in our class. Although, why you want to know this? Can you tell me? How to be consistent. What Mr. Chatterjee, can you write a mail to us? Our official mail ID must be aware, you must be aware onto it. So I would suggest you please write us a mail. At that mail, I am going to discuss the FlexiPool financing with you because this particular session is not for that, right? So I do not want to extend this much. We can discuss all of this at a later date in any other sessions, fine. This particular session is just for the FTP and I do not want to get it a much longer session. Fine. So Abhishek, do not forget to write us a mail. I would be glad to respond to it. Okay. Thank you.